Look at this Buckaroo over here. Look at this Buckaroo in his vest, his cowboy vest. Is Buckaroo the right word for somebody who wears one of those? I feel like it is, right? I feel like it's a fitting word for this guy. Let's take a look at the next article. The next one's titled, Preacher Andrew Womack, I Prayed Away the Mildew in My Home. This article is going to be relevant in a minute, but this was written on February 4th. And it's written by Hemant Mehta on the Friendly Atheist website. So let's give it a read and see what it says. Preacher Andrew Womack has said in the past that God would cure COVID-19 by turning off the virus receptors in our body, and that only people who aren't devout Christians can catch the virus. We're going to get into that in just a minute. He makes things up, is my point, and even then, he's wrong. But his latest Christian lie isn't even necessary. During his Sheriff's Daily Live Bible Study on Tuesday, Womack claimed he prayed away mildew in his home. So let's give this video a watch and see what he actually said here.
You know, real quickly, we need to take questions, but real quickly, when my wife and I first got married, we were poor and we lived in a house that wasn't insulated. And so we had a gas heater on the inside to keep the place warm, but because there was no insulation, the walls sweat. And in the closets, especially where it was dark and stuff like this, we just had mildew everywhere.
Okay, that's a problem. If mildew is like visible on your walls and stuff, there's a real possibility that it goes a lot deeper than that, and the entire house could be in like condemning territory. It's possible, depending on the type of mold or the type of mildew or whatever else, you may need to board the house up and leave immediately because that shit will kill you. No joke. That shit will kill you. You have to be careful with mildew.
And you know what I did? Instead of taking something and cleaning it off and repainting or something, I took Deuteronomy chapter 28 and read it. Mildew, you are accursed. Then I turned over to Galatians 3:13. I'm redeemed from you. And I spoke to mildew and cursed it. And did you know it went away without me having to clean it and do something? It was a curse. And I rebuked the curse. And I got free from that.
Give me a fucking break. Are you serious? You cannot be serious. Listen to this dude. He is unironically telling us he prayed away mildew. He prayed away mildew and it worked. Like serious mildew problem. Like all over the walls. And he opened his Bible and prayed it away. If he has this kind of power, if he can harness God's power to this extent, why hasn't he cured cancer by now? Why hasn't he solved world hunger? If God gives a shit about some jagoff's mildew problem, why doesn't he care about serious issues that can't be solved right now by this preacher? World hunger. How can we fix this problem by harnessing God's power? If he can do it, he should be able to solve it, right? Let's read the article. This is Hemant Mehta speaking. Moral of the story, never go to Andrew Womack's house. Weird how there's never videotape of mildew disappearing. No admission that this magic trick works on any other household problem. No follow-up questions, nothing. Womack won't even offer his services to other Christians with mildew in their homes. We just have to take the Christian liar's word for it. Yeah, I mean, video cameras exist. I would love it if he could videotape something like this, like document it for us. Prove it. If you're telling the truth, you can prove this shit, right? Do something for us now. You're certainly a more faithful man than you were, what, like 20 years ago whenever he said this was taking place? Certainly more faithful now, right? You're in God's ear a lot more than you were then, right? So he should be able to make it happen. But this isn't the only time that he's made some really astounding claims about God. There's another article by Hemant Mehta on the Friendly Atheist website titled, Preacher, God will save us from COVID-19 by turning off our virus receptors. So let's read this article and see what it says. Christian preacher Andrew Womack, who once claimed to raise 2 babies from the dead, has the cure for COVID-19. Just believe in God, because, wait for it, God will turn off the virus receptors in your body. It's just science, people. There's a video that comes with it, so let's watch the video and see what he said.
We were promised that no sickness would even come.
Again, quite the buckaroo, right? Look at this guy's vest. You have to respect the vest, right? I can't get over these vests. Buckaroo is the perfect name for this guy, I think. If you guys can think of a better name for somebody with a vest like this, put it in the comments.
And we were promised that no sickness would even come nigh our dwelling. And Daniel, something I've been studying just in the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. So we were promised, he says, we wouldn't get sick as Christians. That's what he says, right? We were promised we won't get sick. Has he ever been sick before? Has his wife ever been sick? Have his kids ever been sick with, like, literally anything at all ever? If we tested him, would we be able to find antibodies for anything, any illness at all? Or would there be zero antibodies? This is an easy way to find out if he's full of shit or not, right? Just run a test, find out if he has any antibodies. If he does, he's not in God's good graces, I guess, right? If there is a single human alive with zero antibodies and they're a Christian, that would be proof, right?
Based on all of this was Exodus 23:25, and that verse says that you shall serve the Lord your God, and he shall take away all sickness away from the midst of thee. Mm-hmm. And I looked up those words in the Hebrew, and the word take and away, the word on either side of sickness, it literally means to turn off.
Wow.
He will turn off sickness, and it was put in there twice just to emphasize that, you know, whatever receptors you have in your body that make you receptive to sickness, he'll turn it off.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's a great revelation.
That's awesome. That's awesome, right?
I've got all of that on our website. You can go study those things.
Oh, I think I'm good on the website. Appreciate that there, though, Buckaroo. This guy cannot believe that the people who wrote that verse in Hebrew 5,000 years ago or however long ago it was had an understanding of how cells work and understood that God said that he was going to turn off the receptors in your body. I mean, he can't believe that, right? Let's read the article that comes with it and see what he said. This is Hemant Mehta speaking. There you have it, a book written thousands of years ago with no knowledge of cells, much less cell receptors, told us that God would mess with our bodies to protect us from COVID-19, obviously. I mean, sure, God could have prevented the outbreak altogether, but I guess rewriting everyone's genetic code is much easier. Womack offered no explanation for why God hasn't done these things for the thousands of people who've already died from the virus, including Christians, not least of which is Christians. A lot of Christians have suffered and died from this, tragically, particularly because of people like this Buckaroo right here who refuse to go virtual. They're refusing to give up in-person services. Now, I don't know if this guy specifically is doing that. I don't know. Maybe he's a televangelist and doesn't hold in-person stuff anyways. But people like Kenneth Copeland, people like John MacArthur, and lots of others, lots of evangelical nutbags are refusing to go virtual and getting people killed as a result.